Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Footprints. I'm your host, Anthony Davis. I'm an educator at BHS, and that's Beverly High School for those folks who don't know. And joining me today on the show is a guy who has taken basketball to the next level, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Joining me today is a guy who started TGA Athletics, or TGA stands for Tony Gallo Athletics. And this is Tony Gallo, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome, Tony Gallo, to the show today.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
Listen, it's my pleasure. I'm glad you were available to do this. First things first, I always ask my guests right off the bat, tell me something about Tony that nobody knows. Could be quirky, could be kind of funny. Tell me something about you that nobody knows.
That's tough. I guess something that most people wouldn't know unless you're really in my circle is I am actually very soft-spoken and to myself.
Okay.
A lot of people that know me for coaching and training, I'm going. But I'm really a to myself type person.
Okay.
So if it's the craziest thing. I ain't got nothing crazy
to
say on the BHS station.
That's all good. You know, soft-spoken is fine.
No doubt.
So let's think about this. Tony has coached and worked with over 1,000 kids and counting as a player developer, of course. He does AAU coaching as well, and he's also a mentor, which is really cool. He's trained boys and girls from all over New England and Europe, ladies and gentlemen, ranging in ages from 3 to 17. He's also currently trains like D1, D2 athletes and D3 players, as well as a few pro players, which is awesome. We're going to talk about that a little bit, okay? Tony currently plays semi-pro basketball for Worcester. It's the American Basketball Association, right? And they were top 3 in the country.
Yeah, that's a little older, but I did play for them. We had a nice little run. We were top in the country.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
He dominated both in the ABL and the PBL, leading his team in scoring, assists, and steals. Most recently, ladies and gentlemen, back in 2012 and 2014. He also played professionally in the Netherlands. And ladies and gentlemen, he began his college career at UMass Lowell. That's D2.
Right.
Let's think about that for a minute. Now, did you get recruited in high school?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Would you get recruited to Lowell?
I did, and
okay.
So I had a long story with that. But,
okay, all right.
I did.
But you're kind of unhappy about that, really?
Yeah.
Things weren't really going well?
Yeah, I thought I was a D1 player.
Of course,
so
of course.
I had to chase it.
All right. And ladies and gentlemen, he did chase it. He ended up 3,000 miles away at a college. It's called Fabrillo College.
Correct.
It's a junior college right in Santa Cruz, California.
Yep.
And then he started there, scored over 1,000 points in 2 years, and then ended up in the top 5. And then, ladies and gentlemen, he went on to Coppin State University, which that I do know about him. And that is Division I basketball. Now, if you saw Tony walk in, which you probably did not, he is probably my size or a little bit smaller. Now, I'm 5'8", 5'9", and I always say it's not how big you are, it's how big you play. So Tony actually can probably speak to that a little bit. Tell us, first of all, your basketball influences.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
First and foremost, it was my father.
Mm-hmm.
He introduced me to the game at a very young age. He's a basketball fanatic, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing against grown men at probably 8, 9 years old due to him. So he was my hero as far as a basketball player, and obviously a role model. But and he's 65, 66 years old now and still plays every day. So he's still been my biggest influence. And then I've had a lot. My favorite, I don't have many favorite players, but I always credit kind of to what you said, Allen Iverson as like my idol. As you said, he's not very big. He's about the same height as me. I had the luxury of meeting him, but his heart is huge. So all the small guards that actually made it, I'm a basketball connoisseur, so I watched them all, researched them all, and they all influenced my game.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about that, right? You talk about Iverson. I loved Iverson. He was one of my favorites as well. I'm not big either, and so for me, I had to really watch and learn and be like, ooh, how can I implement that in my game, right? And that's one of the biggest things about being a teacher and being a coach. You're able to implement certain things in the classroom as well as on the court.
Absolutely.
What I love. Let's think about this for a second. Were you the kind of player who passed or or really thought about, I'm going to make a play for myself or somebody else? What type of player were you on the court when you actually started playing basketball?
I think I did what was necessary to win. I feel like I'm a true hooper in the sense of I can play any style. I can play with anybody. Even just this morning, I had a workout with 2 D1 guys and one kid that plays at Northfield Mount Herman. I haven't played basketball in 2 weeks, and I won the one-on-ones, the series best of 3 out of 4.
Right.
So just having a feel for it. Obviously, one-on-ones is about scoring. I'm gonna go get a bucket. And I most of the teams I played on, I led my team in scoring, but usually was top 2 in 2 or 3 in assists as well. Rebounds, steals. So to answer your question, I just get a feel for the game. The flow of the game, what's needed from my team to win. And that's how I even train and coach the game. It's just
so it's interesting you said that, because I'm very similar like that. Whatever's necessary, whatever's needed. Like I might score 2 points and have 10 assists, or I might have 20 points and 3 assists. It depends on the game flow and how you're being guarded and all of that. Right. And I really enjoy the game. I mean, I'm going to be 63 this year, and I still play as well.
No doubt.
And it's one of my biggest joys in life. I told my wife I'm going to play till the wheels fall off, and they're squeaking right now. So I'm doing the best I can. You've coached and trained all kinds of players. Yeah. What's the difference between a baller and someone who just shows up to the gym when it's time?
Yeah, I mean, there's big differences between guys that are hoopers and guys that play basketball. And there's nothing wrong with it. I can work with either one as long as we know what we're looking at and where we stand. But I think the biggest difference is just the commitment. And you know, I tell everyone that I work with that really wants to play college basketball, especially Division I, you got to be a little delusional. You got to work delusional. You got to put I play basketball for 8 hours a day. I never did a drill growing up. I told you before the show, Ted was the only guy I ever trained, and that was when I was already playing pro.
Right.
Just played so much. Yeah, I don't know.
No, but
I don't know. I just think I really feel it's just the commitment level. Like guys, when stuff gets tough, they're ready to move on to another trainer, another team, or another sport. Where a hooper just lives it, right? They can't. No's not an acceptable answer, so they just keep going. And they got to feel for it. Sorry to cut you off. They got to feel for the game. Right. Like I teach the game a lot, and then I have a lot of kids that can't implement what we teach into the game. But then I'll get a kid that not really good in skills and drills, but then you watch them in a game or her in a game, and they're moving fluid. Yeah, those are the guys or girls I could tell that's a hooper.
No question. And just so you know, Tony is a great trainer. Trained my son, Austin, who played Division III basketball and also tried out for the Celtics Red Claws team. They were the main Red Claws at that time. Yep. Now they're just the main Celtics. And so Tony has a lot of experience with that.
Funny, full circle there. I was at I did one before, but then I was at my second one at the same tryout as Austin. I tried out. I trained. We trained. And then I'm at the workout. I think it was Cam Twist was working for the Celtics. So invited me over, and then I saw Austin, which is pretty cool. I'm like, I'm training this guy now. We're both trying out.
Yeah, we're both trying out, right? Imagine that.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is a full circle moment. One that I was a really proud father of course.
No doubt.
No doubt. So when you're coaching, and let's say guys aren't really playing well, right? What's your go-to motivational speech when your team's like playing like they got bricks in their pocket or something?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on the age group. I'm gonna get after, the older guys a little bit more than the younger guys. But as far as coaching, as far as teams like AAU, high school, whatnot, not skill development. As far as coaching, it's a feel. It's like, are we just getting out hustled, right? Because we can lose games by just not running back fast enough. Teams are equally skilled, but who wants it more? Right. So if it's something like that, like I'm not a big believer in teaching effort and attitude and hustle. That's not my job. I teach basketball. You should bring the effort. You should bring the attitude. So it all is there. I mean, if it's just organizational, I think that's us as coaches. We're supposed to manage the team. So if we see something where they can't break the press, they can't break the zone, there's a mismatch, I think that's our job to kind of zone in on those and attack it that way. So I guess it's dependent on what's needed for for the team at that particular game, that particular moment.
No question. I think you're right about that. So let's talk a little bit about what did your parents do for a living? You said your dad was a big influence on you. What did your dad do?
I never knew what my dad did. He's a man of mystery.
Man of mystery?
But he's always been moving. He's always handled business. So,
just to put that in perspective, ladies and gentlemen, he said his dad was his biggest influence. So that was the footprint your father left on you initially to play this game. And you took that passion and moved it forward. And now you're affecting other kids and youth and all the guys you train.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's the beauty of footprints, and that's what we do as educators and as teachers and as coaches. We do that a lot. And I think that's the most important thing. Have any siblings?
Yeah, so back to it, so my dad, my mom, who's actually a nurse, so those were the biggest influences in my life. Again, I wasn't allowed to get a B from 4th grade and up, so I got straight A's. I had full academic scholarships to like Harvard, Stanford, Columbia. They didn't want me for basketball, so I turned them down.
Right.
But then I have 2 younger brothers as well, Terrence and Trey. They both played the game, obsessed with the game as much as me. And they were really good players. My youngest had a baby when he was 15, so that kind of put him in perspective. So he didn't chase the dream as much.
Right.
But they're hoopers, man. They get it. They get it from my dad. They play every day still.
I love it.
So yeah.
That's a good thing. We love all of that.
That's it.
Right? Because as they're imprinting those footprints, as their footprints are being printed on them, right, they're taking it and carrying it forward, and then they're maybe influencing other kids. Right, and that's the beauty of footprints is being able to do that.
Absolutely, we can do that through sports, and my big philosophy is teaching life through sports.
Oh, no question.
I've learned. I have an MBA. I did well in college, but I learned more about business through basketball. So
what's one lesson you really learned from basketball that translates kind of to life?
Oh man, that's everything. That's me being a successful trainer, a successful business person. Just the characteristics: learning how to win, learning how to lose. Learning how to be accountable, learning how to work with a team in a team setting, right? Learning how to be a leader, and if you're not a leader, which most people aren't, learning how to be follower. That's really hard to do.
Yes, it is.
So you learn that through sports, right? You have your captain who's on, you have your coaches on, you have to take those certain instructions. You learn certain roles. Not everyone's on the court to score 20 points.
That's right.
Not everyone's going to make $1 million.
Right.
Not everyone's going to be the GM, right? We need people working. So I just feel like anything we talk about through life, like how to handle adversity.
Right.
Like that's learning how to win and lose. Like when things are bad, are you quitting? Are you giving up? Are you pushing? Like you can relate all of that. I talk about everyone's life, and I can relate anything to sports.
Oh, no question.
Any
no
sport,
question.
not even just basketball. Yeah, but any sport.
And it's interesting that sports is a microcosm of life because you're working together, first of all, and you're working with people that aren't like you, that don't look like you, and you have to do that in the real world, right? And you're fighting adversity in the game, right? You might be down, you might be up, you might be close. You have to figure out certain things. You got to make decisions on the fly. Right. All that stuff is important, and that's what life is all about.
Absolutely.
So what's a common mistake that some players sort of make that when they're playing their game? Maybe they think they might be better than they are. What's a common mistake when you're training a player? What do you see that some of the common mistakes that they make?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it there as far as most kids and parents think they're kids and they think they're better than what they are, which is cool, right? I mean, can be biased.
Right.
But I would just say they're watching the wrong things, right? Everyone's stuck in this world of social media where we're getting little clips of certain highlights and extravagant moves and the highlights, where if you really watch a game, there may be 1 or 2 plays of that at that level, right? So we're glorifying the wrong things and we're working towards, I have kids that can do a punch dribble into a sidestep.
Right.
But then I can't get him to pivot or jab off both feet. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Like Kyrie Irving's my favorite player to watch currently. He's the most flashiest player, but he's also the most fundamental player in the NBA. He can do anything, that someone asks. So I think these kids skipping steps is frustrating because they want to go to step C, but they don't have step A.
Yeah.
And the way I train, it's like we're building. Like even in my group workouts, we'll have kids, I'm watching it, we'll do one level, and then I'm like, okay, you and you go to level 2. You still stay at level 1.
Right.
And we're all in a group setting, but they're not ready for level 2.
Right.
So I just think kids want to play with their friends. They want to be at certain pedestals. Everyone wants to play EYBL, but are you a high-level recruit? Why would you be there to wear the gear? So I just think that we're glorifying, we're promoting the wrong things, and then us as trainers and real coaches and grassroots guys got to level people out.
Yeah.
All right, and say, look, this is what it is. Like, that looks cool, but you should be here.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to hear it, they'll hear it. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. And it's interesting you said that, because you're right. A lot of parents think their kids are the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? And we know that that's not always the case.
Right. I just posted something the other day. It was Gino. He said something. He was like, I was talking to one of my old college coaches. He's still a coach. And he said something. He was like, back in the day, all these kids, they thought, they were like, yeah, they thought they were better than MJ.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, now the parents say, nah, my kid's better than that. And that's the world we're in. Like, the parents are delusional. It kind of gets trickled down. And it's always the parents that never played the game, right? And not trying to get at anybody, but they just don't know, right? I can't go into a field of something else and try to, point fingers and say, do this, and that. And
especially if you don't know.
Critique other people when I'm not an expert in that field. So I'm going to let the experts do it until they prove that they can't.
No question. So how do you keep players hungry when they train with you? What is one of the motivational things that you try to do to keep those guys going?
Right. Like I said earlier, that's the hunger, the effort, that's not my job. If you're not coming with that, I'm not getting it out of you.
You heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen. I love that.
But I've always been a man of innovation, right? Even before a lot of this, like I'm Possible with Michael Lancaster certified. I went down to Detroit. I was doing a lot of this stuff though before I was certified, just off my own innovation. And then I saw him doing it and it just made sense to connect. But I think, them getting better, them seeing improvement, that's the biggest addiction, right? So if they come here and they're seeing results, that's what it is. So I have kids that even, like right now, obviously I partner with Scalabrini, White Mama for AAU. We're really trying to build something. But I would work the top players out in the area and they would play for BABC, Expressions and whatnot. And I wear two hats. I don't care if they play AAU for me. I didn't have a program, a platform strong enough like a BABC or Expressions to say, you should play for me. I would be holding that kid back as the trainer.
100%.
Right? Yeah. So I just think them seeing the results, keeping the workout, and like I'm not going to dog my workout. My workouts, whether it's a 3-year-old or a 13-year-old, like we're working.
We're working,
So the energy's there. I'm always going to have energy. Just match it and we'll be all right.
No question. So now let's shift gears a little bit. What if basketball didn't exist? What sport would you coach?
Right. That's tough. I don't know if I would. I was really good at football. Really good at football. Just didn't love it. I didn't even play organized like that, but I could move my first step. I knew I had a better chance of football than basketball.
Okay.
And my daughters play flag. Like my 9-year-old just won a world championship down in Florida recently, and she played on ESPN and all that. Bragged that she got on ESPN 8 years before I did or something like that. But it's cool. That's what we want for our kids. But I'm into flag a lot. We actually branched off into TGA. We run flag football. I have a new gym in Manchester by the Sea. We got turf in there, so we started doing flag football skill development and stuff like that. We have some really good trainers that run that. And then we also have volleyball going on there. Again, I don't run it. I have no idea about volleyball. So I found someone like me. And her daughter actually trained with me for years. They played at St. Mary's. Now she's running our volleyball program.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not sure. I know I would want to be involved in developing kids. Whether it was on the court, whether it was in life, because I deal with more kids' lives than most people know.
No question.
It's not just basketball. It's probably less basketball with a lot of kids than it is. So
because sometimes you get a lot of kids that are at risk or they're kind of left to their own devices, and so basketball is a vehicle for them to really delve into and lose themselves in it and get the best out of themselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's really what I love about it. You're stranded on a desert island. You can only bring 3 things. Right. What are they?
I mean, my family, if that's as a whole.
Sure, I can bring your family.
I'm saying my mom's, my daughters. I mean, there's already food and all that, all the commodities. I gotta bring food.
You have to bring everything.
They obviously need some food and water, right? I mean, I guess I'd be okay personally with, if I had my family, food, water. I mean, food and water, that's 3, right? That's all. If that's all one. If I could take a ball, cool. But family's it for me.
I hear you.
And then what do we need to survive?
No doubt, no doubt.
So I couldn't do it. I can do it if I got my
I would bring a basketball, a whistle, and I don't know, some sort of food maybe. I don't know.
No doubt.
Family's
at the crib.
I don't know about the family, man.
You got
I'm bringing the basketball.
No doubt. That's honest. Better cut that part. On
No doubt. So is there a drill you secretly hate, but you keep doing anyway because it'll make the kids better? Or do you just love everything that you do?
Nah, I don't see much that I hate doing. Everything I feel like I do. Obviously, there's been stuff throughout this last 10 years that I don't do
refined
anymore.
it a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
I tweak it a little bit. But I'm constantly, growing the drills, right? The game's growing. I can't continue to do the same stuff I did 5 years ago. I got to teach the game differently.
No question.
So no, I wouldn't say that. I would say just, get to the point, if you're thinking AAU, just having to run kids for lack of effort. Like, that's a waste of time. Let's get in shape. Let's get in shape during the drills. Let's get in shape when we're playing pickup.
Yeah.
So
I understand that philosophy. What do you hope players say about you in 10 years after you're done training them? They've gone on and moved on to certain levels of the game. What do you hope someone says, oh, Tony Gallo was this?
It's funny you said that because just recently, like, I'm getting my first batch of kids like almost through college and graduating, and they're telling me thank you for helping them become a better person. So I just want to be known for just developing them as a whole, right? As a basketball player, as a man, a woman, and as a person in the community. So I want to be someone that's known as I was transparent, I was real, which again I tell kids all the time stuff that they don't want to hear. And
right.
I really don't care if you care what I think.
Right.
I don't. Like, I'm going to tell you what's needed to be said. And I have some kids that backlashed before, and my favorite one, I got a kid, he's actually a Division I lacrosse player from Marblehead. He came back to my gym probably 2-3 years ago, and he said, Coach, first I want to thank you, because I wouldn't be a Division I lacrosse player if it wasn't for you. We never worked on lacrosse. And I want to apologize for being such an arrogant little kid. And he was a very arrogant kid. And for that, that was probably the biggest compliment I had as a coach.
So think about that. You left that footprint on that kid.
Right.
That was such a huge thing in his life that he decided, you know what? I got to change my attitude. Yep. I got to figure this thing out. This is going to make me a better person because this guy, Tony, invested in me, and I didn't see that in myself. But then all of a sudden he turned around and did, and thanked you for that.
And he left the program at 14 years old because he couldn't take it with me on him, but me being on him stuck with him.
So that's one of the biggest things. All right, I'm going to give you a little words of wisdom here on Footprints, ladies and gentlemen. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to have days that you don't want to do it. You're supposed to make sacrifices, ladies and gentlemen. You're supposed to challenge yourself and push yourself to your limits. That's the price that has to be paid, no matter what, right? That separates you from the pack, right? Stop being average and do things that are outside the box. Stop trying to avoid it. Stop searching for like a shortcut or the easiest path, right? Because it doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you that right now, right? Feel the doubt. Hear the excuses. I'm sure you did when you were coming up, Tony, right? But show up anyway. Show up anyway. Why? Because the world doesn't care how you feel. That's number one. And the only way to beat resistance is to face it. You got to. All great things must be earned, no matter what. So learn to fall in love with the challenges, the sacrifices, the discomfort, and use it to your advantage. That's what I always say, right? And you need to have those, you got to have those tough conversations, right? And I'm glad that you're having those with those players that you train, men and girls and boys, men and women, all of them. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Gallo has a Salem location where he does training and has group trainings Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, right? Ages 8 to 11, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, ages 12 to 14, and then 8 to 9 high school people, right? High school. He also has a facility in Manchester by the Sea. Talked about Impossible Skills Lab, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 to 7, grades 4 to 8, 7 to 8, grades 9 to 12, and advanced 8th grade people are welcome. Also has got Sunday stuff going on as well. Yep. This is a very busy gentleman. Fun fact, Tony and I met a long time ago at a different location in Marblehead, yep. And he was working for someone else who had a program that was kind of on the come up, but they didn't quite manage it the right way, so they're probably not doing what they need to be doing at this point. We're not going to talk about that. He also has something called Little Ballers, ages 3 to 7, Tuesday, Thursdays, in Salem, and he's got a ladies' night. So if you're a lady baller, come check out TGA's facilities over there in Salem, Wednesday night from 6 to 7 p.m., grades 3 to 5, and 7 to 8 p.m., grades 6 to 7, and 8 to 9, we have 8th grade to 12th grade. All right, membership options are definitely available for both locations. He's got something called the Kids Lab on Monday and Friday from 5 to 6, grades 1 to 3, and that's awesome when they're that little and you're training them and having a good time. And then he's also got the little ballers again on Wednesdays from 4:15 to 5, and then 1:15 to 12 on Saturdays, all right? In both locations, you can visit at TonyGallo.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my pleasure to have been here with Tony today. I'm going to ask him a couple more questions because I think this is really important, this one I'm about to ask you. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, athlete or non-athlete, actor or actress, doesn't matter who it is, actor or actress, who would it be and why?
That's tough. That's tough.
That's
I'm
a
not
tough
good
question, right? I love that one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if we really, I'm getting onto it, it would be Mr. Naismith, right? He created the game of basketball.
Yes,
and,
he did.
Just where the idea come from. Just get into the origin of something that has made me who I am. So I think it would be very respectable, and it would make a lot of sense to pick his brain.
Yeah.
Even though the game's changed so much, the foundation of the game and is still there.
No question, no question. That's a good one. I never thought of that.
I didn't think of it either till now.
Because he made the game. You're right. The game you and I and millions of people love. He made that game. You're right, which is interesting.
He's from here, from our state.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know if he's from here, but it's discovered here.
No question. For me, I thought about this a lot, and I usually say Kobe Bryant, which I love Kobe, and I've met Kobe twice in my life. Been very blessed to have done that. But I think Red Auerbach, I would like to sit with him, man, because think about what the Celtics did in the 60s with an integrated team, right? When all that unrest was going on, right, and you couldn't eat at certain places because you had black players on your team, like, Red, what were you thinking, man? Why do you think that would work out eventually? And it did. He started this thing, and that was obviously back in the day with MLK and all of that, where there was segregation and people were rioting and all of that, and all of a sudden we came together as a nation, as a people. And I would just ask him, man, you were innovative in that way. You were one of the guys who started. You were a pioneer putting together that team in the 60s with Bill Russell and all those guys, right? And tell me a little bit about, I would ask him, tell me about your mindset. What were you thinking when you did that? Like, did you think you were going to impact society like you have? Because it really has been an amazing thing to see, like, our game full circle, how the skill level's gone up, how it, like, overseas, you have players now developing in Canada. I think SGA is probably going to be the MVP this year, and he's from Canada. I mean, last year it was the MVP, I believe, was Joker. And, he's from Serbia, whatever he's from. And so to see the evolution of the game, right, who would have thought that, right? But I'm thinking Red Auerbach knew something that we didn't know back in the 60s, right? We're putting those guys together and developing those guys and winning all those championships all those years.
He knew how to win.
Yeah.
And he knew what it took. And he was a leader, kind of what we talked about earlier. He said what needed to be said and did what needed to be done to win the game. It wasn't a black or white thing. It was this player is going to help us win.
That's right.
I don't care what he looks like. And he had no problem dealing with the people that were coming at him. He had no problem with being the first to do it. He knew in his head, and he was a little, you watch his interviews, he's a little crazy. Yeah. You got to be a little tapped to do something that no one's ever done before.
Exactly.
So I appreciate that, and that's a good one. So
no question. I would love to sit and talk to him. I mean, think about that. It was like he was basically started the, we talk about Jackie Robinson being the first guy to break the color barrier in baseball. Same thing in basketball. I think Red Auerbach had a lot to do with that, with adding black players to his team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go. It's been a great conversation with my buddy, Tony Gallo. And don't forget to go to TonyGallo.com, TGA Athletics, for all your needs in terms of basketball and training. And You can catch us, ladies and gentlemen, on Channel 22 when this is posted, and you can catch us on Spotify and all the streaming services that we have. I'll tell you, I'll leave you with a couple of questions. Number one, I want to ask, who left a footprint on you? And how are you taking that and moving that forward? I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.